it side by side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's going to pounce on it. He's going to try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's Indus Galindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Galindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go into the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes Jungbluth trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down into the braking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off then. It's going to try and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
We're in short track mode for the time being, and the crazy action will surely continue with a visit to one of oval racing's most historic tracks. From the wide flat turns of Lucas Oil to the sharp corners of Martinsville Speedway. We're ready for round 9 of the IROC Challenge series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Martinsville was one of the original NASCAR tracks and remains a popular and demanding ride today. Let's learn more about it with the track guide.
Welcome to a piece of racing history. The Martinsville Speedway in South Central Virginia opened before NASCAR was even founded, and it is one of the sport's original tracks. Its paperclip shaped half mile has grown from a dusty pioneer to a beautiful racing facility. Going off of the paperclip nickname, Martinsville is two 12-degree banked corners attached to two 800-foot-long straights. Getting out of these corners is all about managing the rear tires sliding around. It often feels like you're coming out of a valley as you head onto the straights. Martinsville is very much a rhythm-based racetrack though, some even referring to it as a rocking chair. You get that sensation because you want to feel the front of the car slam down under braking and then lift back up under acceleration. Making things even more complicated is the fact that the track is only 55 feet wide. Down in the corners, you'll find that yellow curve. It's elevated off the track by several feet, and if you catch it with those left side tires, you're bound to grab a handful of steering wheel. All of the action isn't on the track, however. The pit road that starts in the entry to turn 3 and exits out of turn 2 is only 46 feet wide itself, making pit road under caution look like a circus. Martinsville is not a track that you can rest on your laurels at. Always on top of the wheel is the name of the game. The drivers that do that best find themselves with a grandfather clock trophy. The fans come from all over, the drivers come from all over, even internationally, to race at the hallowed grounds. So settle in, buckle up, it's bound to be a great race.
Well, Chris, we're happy to be racing at Martinsville once again, aren't we? Definitely one of the best tracks to watch a chaotic race at. Traditionally, Martinsville's been a bit of a caution fest in the past here on the Global SimRacing Channel, but we know how good the drivers in this series are. We'll certainly be hoping that we'll get some very good green flag runs here tonight.
Yeah, Martinsville definitely has a reputation here on iRacing for being a bit of a demolition derby, so we're going to hope to not have to deal with that here today. It's going to be mostly an inside line type of race. This is a short, flat track, so getting to the inside of the competitor ahead of you is going to be the name of the game. And, of course, don't be surprised if the chrome horn comes out a time or two and tempers may just flare a little bit.
Indeed, as you can see, we're going to be racing at night here in this race here, going for 150 laps. And, of course, there is a series of sponsors and charities that this series supports that we are going to briefly mention and thank now. First off, Zoe's Place. The mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team conducts investigations and intervention activities. Their goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing, and provide nurturance for children and their families. We'd also like to thank R&R Racewear for their sponsorship of this series, your source for all your custom racewear apparel needs and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-rracewear.com. Evidence-Based Mummy. Have questions about parenting or non-toxic living? Visit evidencebasedmummy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. The series is also proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who's created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find out more info at luckyfinnproject.org. We'd also like to thank Loud Pedal TV and, of course, 5-Star Graphics. Now, we don't have much time before we get into the racing action, but we are going to check out the championship very briefly here, Chris. Of course, Aaron Smith is still on top ahead of Troy Radford. Drivers are over 1,000 points now, and it's looking like Radford, especially with that crash on the final lap last round at Lucas Oil, is in a bit of danger of getting overtaken for second.
Yeah, Kevin McCann very close to Troy there in the standings, but a lot of points at play still, and your top four really still within striking distance.
Absolutely they are. Well, this is going to be a fun one, isn't it? This race is going to be happening for 150 laps tonight. Of course, the drivers are racing fixed setups. They're all driving the same car as well, the Xfinity Series Camaro. You don't get a spare car in this series, so if you get too much damage, if the chrome horn is a bit too loud, you'll have to jump into the pits and get that damage repaired, and you get 4 tyre sets total throughout this race. The set you start on and 3 more. There'll also be 3 green-white checker attempts at the end if there is a caution with only a few laps to go. And just like that, we have only a minute remaining in the warm-up session. The drivers have already run qualifying, and looks like the pace has been set by Brian McCann at the moment. And the time will be ticking down here as drivers get used to the night conditions. And we'll see how well they'll get the start going with track temperatures that are looking reasonably warm, I have to say. 27 degrees Celsius, which is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I got to say, Chris, that concrete will still be slippery regardless of temperature.
Yeah, that's the fun part about racing on concrete, and really the even the transition from concrete to asphalt that they have here. So definitely wouldn't be surprised for it to get a little slick, as we see a few guys having some issues here in the warm-up. But I guess that's what the warm-up is for, is to get this out of our systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for them to get it out of their systems now, as our pole sitter makes his way around the last couple of corners there. Or his teammate, rather, his brother, my apologies. We'll go through the grid here for this 150-lap race at Martinsville. On pole position is going to be the number 3 of Brian McCann, with Aaron Smith qualifying in second. Of course, the championship leader going to be starting end of line, I believe, with Brandon Mefford and Chris Mefford sharing the second row. The Mefford's very strong here at short tracks. Troy Radford is going to qualify 5th alongside Neil Quick, with David Trumbley and Kevin McCann sharing the 4th row. And then we've got Tim Schofield and David Brown rounding out the top 10, looking very close on times.
Just outside of the top 10 is going to be James Kaufman starting in 11th over Mike Cook. Brandon LeClaire and Quick are going to make up row number 7. Then Chris Wally and Bill Walker in the 8th row, followed by Kyle Pendergraft and Brian Reich in the 9th row. Jamie Abrell and Josh Funkhauser will complete your top 20 starters.
Josh Funkhauser, the first of our drivers to not take part in the qualifying session. The following, Donnie Lyons and Jarrett Widener going to start on the 11th row, with Hunter Clark and Ray Radford starting 23rd and 24th. Our field is rounded out by Curtis Rogers and Dakota Clark starting on the back row of the grid, and they will be joined by the winner of the previous race. Actually, it seems that Jesse King, who took that surprise victory at IRP last round, is not present in the session, so he's going to escape the wrath of that rule that the IROC series has, where the winner of the previous race has to start end of line. Either way, it's going to be a fun one here, as Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann given end of line penalties. I think because Jesse King's not here, Kevin McCann has also been given an end of line, because I believe he won the race previous to this one. So they are going to be sent to the rear, and it's going to be Brian who is going to lead them away there in that dazzling number 3. This is going to be a fun one, as the field is still very tightly compressed down the back stretch at Martinsville. And they will enter the Geico Start zone very shortly. And at that point, Brian McCann is going to have to wait for the starter, Barney, to wave the green flag. Let's see how they go then as they come out of turns 3 and 4. The green flag flies, and we are away at Martinsville for round 9 of the IROC series. It's a good start there from Brian McCann. And diving up the inside is Brandon Mefford to take second. Looks like the outside line has no grip there. Chris Mefford lost an awful lot of time. He's going to be really pressured by Troy Radford and David Trumbley, who were running 1 and 2 just a lap from the end at last round. Unfortunately, they came together coming out of turns 3 and 4 to start the final lap, so they'll be hoping for a better run here at Martinsville, Chris, but Trumbley is under pressure from Quick.
Yeah, this is not the place where pressure is very fun to deal with. It's a mad scramble to get to the bottom of the track here at Martinsville. And we're seeing somebody up into the wall already.
Yeah, there's it's looking like some difficulties happening here. Up the inside is David Trumbley on Jamie Abrell. Yeah, it looks like Abrell Oh, yeah, he's going up into the wall repeatedly. He started from the rear, remember. He's already gone a lap down on everyone else, it seems, and so he's making life a bit difficult for everyone, as that's a big slide there from the number 14 of Kyle Pendergraft, and he loses about 3 positions through that as well.
Yeah, I'm not the most talented driver of all time, but I will say, based on my scientific research, if you want to go fast, don't slide the car like that.
Yes. I mean, drifting looks cool, but it's not going to help you win races. So we'll see how things go here, especially for our championship leader, Aaron Smith, who, remember, was demoted end of line as the number 48 of Curtis Rogers also goes wide. And looks like Smith already up to 17th spot. So he's making waves here, making his way up to the front of the field, and looks like Kevin McCann is doing a nice job of following him through. There's some side-by-side up ahead with the number 19 of Bill Walker trying to get past our series administrator, Chris Wally. And number 19 running a little bit high in the turns, but he's going to try and keep the car of Bill Walker just behind him. Funkhauser, sorry, as Funkhauser now to the inside, it seems, yielding to Aaron Smith and potentially Kevin McCann as well, as obviously a massive pace difference between these guys.
You got me there, Reese?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I was having some audio issues.
No worries. Either way, we continue to watch our very fast qualifiers, but end-of-line starters cut their way through this field. They've just dispatched Bill Walker, and it looks like Joshua Funkhauser following them through just behind. McCann really pressuring Smith here as they make their way up through the field, but they don't want to race each other too hard here. This green flag run is extending here. Oh, no. Unfortunately, it isn't. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. The caution flag is out. And we realize there are some technical issues as the number 11 of Brian Reek, unfortunately, finding the wall and losing his rear bumper. Before we go to a break, we should check out what happened to him, and we'll see how he came unstuck here. Very easy to come unstuck at Martinsville. Running high, and then, the number 54 of Hunter Clark spinning up ahead of him, and they just ended up coming together and putting each other into the wall. That's a big shame. Clark, hitting the curb. He was already unstuck by that point. Got some contact from the 88 of Jarrett Widener as well. And up into the safer barrier goes Brian Reek. That is a real shame there for the number 11. Either way.
I was going to say, that's one of the dangers of being on the outside here at Martinsville. Unfortunately, somebody at the inside loses it and sends you into the wall.
Indeed it does. Well, we're going to step aside very briefly here on the Global SimRacing Channel. You're watching round 9 of the IROC Challenge Series at Martinsville.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
You're watching the IROC Challenge Series here at Martinsville Speedway. Still pacing, but with just one lap to go under caution. The pace car will be coming in at the end of this lap. Brian McCann and Brandon Mefford have held on to the top two positions very nicely, but bulk positions being made up by Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann. Pace car in, and now it's time for the restart. The number 3 alongside the number 83 as we enter the start zone. Wait for the call of the green flag. And away we go. That is an excellent jump from Brian McCann. He has absolutely nailed that. Fantastic job from the number 3, covering off Troy Radford is Brandon Mefford, and looks like just stuck on the inside is David Trumbley in 4th. He's going to be under threat here from Chris Mefford, who tries around the outside. He's not going to get it done. Gets a late apex, and will he be able to draw alongside? No, he won't, but seems that our top drivers, Chris, are definitely just strutting their stuff out at the front. The side-by-side running is going on very well, though. I just saw Chris Mefford going for it there on David Trumbley, and they are going to transfer positions, and that's going to be Chris Mefford up into 4th.
Yeah, we do have some drivers that are making moves here at Martinsville, which is not always easy to do, even in the early laps. This is a track that's notoriously hard to pass on, and you have people that already this early into the race, less than 20 laps, and they've already made up a handful of spots throughout the field.
That they have. This is quite fun to watch. Only had one caution so far. We'll see how many more we get towards the end. There's a good line of rubber forming on the racetrack, and drivers running in single file for the most part, at least up at the front. It seems like there's not much change throughout the rest of the field either, but the number 46 running a little bit high there. He's going to have to be careful of that, is Chris Mefford. He knows that he and Brandon are very strong at short tracks, but Brandon has managed to make up a place or so from his second row start alongside his brother. They are facing a little bit of difficulty in the number 46 getting a bit more forward, but I guess the silver lining is he's starting to gap David Trumbley, so we'll see if he can pressure Troy Radford. That top 3 is certainly together.
Yeah, the top 3 drivers have really been impressive so far. And yeah, like you mentioned, Mefford and Trumbley looks like they may be meeting up sooner than later, as the gap between them kind of fluctuates there a little bit.
Yeah, gap is starting to fluctuate. Looking at lap times at the moment, it looks like Troy Radford is the fastest car out there right now. You see him running a little bit wide in turn 2, but things are certainly with him right now. 20.1 on the last lap, a couple hundredths faster than everyone else, and he has the fastest lap overall, a 19.8. Looks like Brandon Mefford in second was the fastest car on track that time around, but I've got to say, you can't count out Troy Radford. He's looking for some redemption after his unfortunate finish at Lucas Oil Raceway last week.
Yeah, Troy Radford can definitely be a threat anywhere we go with these cars. And he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder after IRP last week, and he is definitely someone to keep an eye on today.
Yeah, that he is. Well, Having a look up at the front, looks like Brian McCann ran a couple tenths slower. The times are starting to drop out there, and by drop I mean get slower, so they're actually getting larger. It's amazing how lap timing works in a motor race, but they're keeping consistent pace, aren't they? That time around, Neil Quick was the fastest car, and Quick is all the way back in 6th spot. He's actually chasing down David Trumbley as we speak, and we see him now with Chris Mefford just up ahead of them in the red car. And I'm noticing that Radford and Trumbley, they are occasionally taking that slightly higher line through the corners. I mean, Radford, at least, you can see that Trumbley is hooking up the curb on the inside, and sometimes that's not quite the fastest way around these corners, Chris. What I like about Martinsville is there's often multiple lines possible through these corners, at least when you're running on your own.
Yeah, that's the main part of it there, is running on your own. When you have anyone anywhere in your vicinity, you want to protect that bottom as much as possible, because people will not hesitate to get the nose underneath you and root you right out of your spot.
Well, speaking of, the number 12 having to face Aaron Smith going around the outside of him. That's Tim Schofield there in the white, blue and red machine. And we'll see what Smith can do to get by him. A little bit deeper on the brakes, goes high and then cuts low in the mid-corner to get it done. And now looks like Kevin McCann is going to have to find his way around as well. These guys are absolutely blasting their way through this field. Smith and McCann, seeing both up 8 positions each from where they took the green flag. And now Smith trying his best to find his way past James Kaufman in the number 41, who was very unfortunate last round, was involved in quite a few incidents and had a very damaged car. He's kept it clean so far, though, which is a plus. A little bit of a tap to the wall, though, but you don't really need to worry about aerodynamics here at Martinsville.
Yeah, that's one thing about these short tracks is your aerodynamics being a little goofed up is definitely not going to be the worst thing in the world. And these cars with the flange fit bodies, they can take a little bit of a beating as well.
That they can. Well, that was a couple of spots lost there for James Kaufman, down to 11th now as McCann and Smith continue to fight their way through, and Mike Koch is now going to try and line up James Kaufman for a potential move. Seems like the pace has dropped a bit there in the number 41. We'll see what they can do as we ride on board here with Mike Koch and on the Zoom feed, of course. And wow, goodness, seeing that the number 41 is having some issues getting off the turns there. Koch is nice and smooth. You can see how much he's focusing, and it looks like the exit was hooked up nicely by Kaufman there. But I think it's going to be a case of when rather than if Mike Koch gets past him here with how much pace he seems to be dropping.
Yeah, the drop off there has been a little surprising, and Mike in the 00 is also showing a bit of pace here at this point of the race, so could be a kind of meet in the middle type situation.
Oh, and just as we say, there's a caution. The number 54 of Hunter Clark has come unstuck. Seems to have escaped damage for the most part, and looks like, judging by those tire tracks in the background, a bit of a spin for the number 54. We'll see exactly what happened to him shortly on the replay and see if it was contact. Oh, looks like it was. That was the... or maybe not. Maybe. Oh, yeah. There we go. There was the contact. It was the number 79 of Donnie Lyons. Looked like he was being run up the track a little bit there. Was the number 54 of Hunter.
Yeah, I believe Hunter was also involved in our first caution as well. So it's been a bit of an adventurous day for the 54.
Yeah, certainly has. Already off the lead lap and losing more time besides. Well, the field is now pacing, and it's still a bit too early, I think, to start thinking about taking fresh tyres in these nighttime conditions and the concrete in the turns. you got to consider the tire wear will be a little bit lower here in Martinsville. So no surprise to see that the majority of drivers have not elected to go to the pits so far. Although I could be proven wrong in just a few seconds if we see them make their way in.
If I remember correctly, and my math is right, I believe we're roughly about 20 laps from the end of the first stage as well.
Indeed we are. Of course, there are stage cautions here in the IROC series, and cautions happen at 40% and 75% race distance. With a 150 lap race, that takes us to lap 60 and lap 112. So yeah, we're not too far away from that first stage caution, Chris. You're 100% right there. We're also almost at a third race distance, and it seems that drivers are really making those tyres last. And unless there's a huge caution fest in the final third of the race, I don't think we're going to be seeing drivers in any danger of being stuck on their fourth and final set of tyres here.
So I gotta say, for a Martinsville race so far, our first couple incidences here have been pretty benign as far as Martinsville goes.
Yeah, I was expecting a bit more chaos myself, but the racing has been remarkably fair and clean. We've obviously had quite a bit of experience, haven't we, Chris, in past broadcasts when Oval Series have been racing at Martinsville. We've barely gone racing for, 3, maybe 4 laps before the caution comes back out, and long green flag runs are a bit of a rarity here, but it seems that we've made it to the 40th lap, and we only have 2 cautions so far. It's time for the restart once again. We're on board here with Brian McCann, and he's got his hand on the gear stick. The green flag flies, and once again that is a magnificent jump, magnificent getaway for Brian. And have a look at that. That's big there. Troy Radford getting the run there on Brandon Mefford and moving himself up into second. Really took advantage of the restart there. And Chris Mefford is now right on the tail of his brother, but he's going to have to be careful. He has got David Trumbley up his inside, and have a look at that. The bright yellow machine, the championship leader, Aaron Smith, is right with them now as well.
Absolutely mind-blowing that Aaron Smith has been able to move up that fast through the field. This is a track where you're not supposed to be able to do that, and already he's knocking on the door of the top 5 here quickly.
Yeah, certainly looking very quick tonight is the number 70, and he dispatches Neil Quick in the number 2 there. Through they go, and now David Trumbley will be his next target, as a bit wide into turn 3 goes Kevin McCann. He has gotten a bit stuck, hasn't he, on this restart? We saw him following Aaron Smith through the field to start things off, but he's actually hit something of a wall here at the moment, metaphorically, of course, and that's, oh goodness, oh, hello, number 83, Brandon Mefford, going for a pit stop under green. Something's happened there. Does he have a black flag? Yes, he does. Brandon Mefford's gotten a black flag. I think that might be for a start zone infringement.
Well, that's definitely going to be big news.
Yeah, understatement of the century there. He was definitely running high up the front of the field, but evidently there was a problem in that start zone. He might have gone a little bit too early. Maybe he was just slightly ahead of Brian McCann, oh no, actually, maybe he overtook cars on the inside line. He wasn't starting up the front, was he? That is absolutely huge, and under green flag, that's going to be a disaster for Brandon Mefford. He's in the lane now at the moment, in the box even, and he's been there for 30 seconds, looking like he's going to try and get some service done while he's in the pit lane. As the racing continues out on the circuit, we're focusing on the group behind James Kaufman. Cook quick, having to make some space on the inside for Brandon Leclerc, and there's a big train of cars as, oh dear, that's That's a bit slow there for the number 17 of Dakota Clark. What has gone on there, I wonder? A little bit of a spin potentially. Clark is sticking down to the inside as the rest of the racing action goes on, and Kyle Pendergraft with a big slide just behind this battling pair here. Cook Quick having to yield to Brandon Leclerc there, and that is 12th place sorted for now.
Yeah, this race went from pretty calm to a whole lot of stuff going on in one really short amount of time as 17 hits pit road after whatever his issue may be.
We're going to see briefly what happened to Dakota Clark here. Had Donnie Lyons coming together with someone else as well, and oh dear, I think that might have just been a case of spinning up the tires and maybe a little bit of slight contact as well. Just putting Dakota into the inside wall there. That's a big shame. But we'll focus back forward here. Number 46, Chris Mefford, not quite making an impression on the top two as things stand, but Aaron Smith has made his way up into 4th. And it looks like Kevin McCann has managed to find his way past other drivers as well while we were looking, and McCann is now starting to size up David Trumbley for a potential move. But tell you what, it is a proper race for the lead at the moment. And I'm seeing there might have been a problem for Cook Quick in the number 23. He's just dropped 3 positions. I did notice that he was sliding out of the corners quite a few times, and it seems that has been the case for him once again. Up the inside, dives the number 14, but again, it seems Kyle Pendergraft is having a lot of trouble keeping that rear end in check.
Yeah, and got a whole bunch of curb there too that sent him right up the track, and that's obviously going to create some issues as well. The curbs here are pretty large, and you get it with that left front tire, and it will send you for a ride.
That it will. This is quite the pack, isn't it? With Rogers, Pendergraft, Quick, Walker as well in the midst of all this. And the number 19, Jamie Abril and Donnie Lyons are up behind them too. And to the outside, Cook Quick trying to get back past Kyle Pendergraft, who's managed to get that move done. And lunging and trying to get alongside at the exit. There is Cook Quick, but he finds the wall, and he is going to lose all of that pace, all of that momentum, all of those positions. They got a lapped car in there with them as well. Brian Reek in the number 11. So this could potentially make things awkward for this pack. Just behind them, Lyons and Ray Radford going side by side through turns 1 and 2.
Ooh, 54 catching the curb there. Almost sent the 79 for a ride. He's going to have a tight cut there off of 4.
He is. I'm sorry. I thought the number 54 was Ray Radford, but it isn't. It is, of course, Hunter Clark, who's already suffered issues this race. The caution flag is back out, meanwhile, and everyone's going to have to slow down. Something's gone wrong for someone. Yes, no, nothing has gone wrong for anyone. It is the first stage caution. Lost track of how many laps were completed there for a second. Well, stage 1 is complete. And I wouldn't be surprised if everyone comes into the pits for some fresh rubber here. But as things stand, it is Brian McCann who still leads from Troy Radford, Chris Mefford, your top 3. Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann have vaulted up to the top 5. This is going to be a very interesting second stage here in round 9 of the IROC Challenge Series at Martinsville, as our leader goes to the lane and is followed in by the number 94. We'll be back very shortly here on the Global SimRacing Channel to bring you the second stage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Well, first stage has ended here in round 9 of the IROC series at Martinsville, and it looks to me as though there's been a little bit of a change. Chris Mefford has been vaulted in the pits by Aaron Smith, as the majority of the field now on fresh tyres. It looks like Cook Quick was the last driver to make his way into the pits, and so with that we'll have everyone having changed their tyres at least once so far in this race. First stage caution, we only had 2 natural cautions besides, so this is going to be a fun one. Reese Gardner with Chris Phoebe here in the commentary box. What can you say about this race so far, Chris? It has been the Brian McCann show.
Yeah, Brian has been a steady wheel up front. Really has done nothing wrong this whole race and has been very dominant so far, leading just about every lap from the start. And there's definitely some hungry competitors behind him, especially with Aaron Smith getting up there into the mix. So he'll be someone to keep an eye on after starting deep in the field. He's got basically a fresh car now, and he's ready to go.
That he has. Fresh tyres for the number 70, the 3 and the 94 will have to watch out as the pace car comes into the lane, and Brian McCann will take the start here. Into the start zone they come. Wait for the call. And that was right at the start of the start zone. McCann was right on it, wasn't he? Another brilliant jump. And up the inside of Troy Radford goes Aaron Smith into second place. Looked easy from the outside, but surely that wasn't the case. Here comes the number 33. Meanwhile, the door has been opened on the inside, and there goes Kevin McCann trying to get into third spot. And the caution flag has immediately come back out. There has been a crash at the back, it seems. Oh no, it looks like Hunter Clark has been involved in another incident, and the number 51 in there as well. Chris Wally, our series administrator. What on earth went on there, Chris?
Yeah, well, Hunter Clark, he crashed taking evasive action. From what I saw on my monitor, the 51, I caught the 51 going the wrong way down the front straightaway, but beyond that, I guess we'll have to rely on our replay here.
Yeah, it looks to me like it was rear-end contact from Kyle Pendergraft there that spun Chris Wally around, and then the evasive action there from Hunter Clark unfortunately made him come unstuck as well, with drivers not quite prepared for that. Get the outside view of it. Very deep into the corner goes the number 14 and tags the 51. Around our series admin goes, and fortunately not too heavily damaged besides, and everyone else taking good avoiding action there to make sure there weren't too many casualties from that one.
Yeah, I think the biggest hit the 51 took was trying to get it spun around and tag the right rear against the outside wall, but otherwise doesn't look too worse for wear.
Indeed. Well, Wally now the last car on the lead lap, and Hunter Clark gaining a position over him as a result. So we shall see how things work out for these guys, as there is the wave around for Brandon Mefford, who, remember, got that black flag for a start zone infringement, I believe, and had to take a penalty pit stop under green flag. And he will get at least one lap back from that, which shall be very good. It actually looks to me on my timing that he's made it back onto the lead lap. So look out for Brandon Mefford in the number 83. We'll see if he can carve his way through the field on this next green flag run.
Yeah, the 70 of Aaron Smith now having to start on that outside first row position. That's kind of been the sucker hole the last few restarts. It seems like whoever starts outside there has been kind of caught off guard, and whoever's starting inside row 2 has been able to take advantage. So we'll see if we get another flip-flop with him in the 94.
We shall see indeed. Radford will be starting right behind Brian McCann, and we know how good McCann has been on the starts. The traction in that number 3 seems to be supreme, which is an interesting point to make because this is a fixed setup series. All drivers are running exactly the same settings. Maybe Brian McCann has just found that sweet spot with putting the power down.
Yeah, McCann has been pretty much faultless on these restarts, really timing things out great. And I think that's part of the reason probably that outside front row has had as many issues as it has with the front, with the leader being able to fire off so well.
Well, here we go then. Lights off on the pace car, and the field forms up. Few stories to come out of this one. Method, Brandon, number 83, back on the lead lap, starting out of 22nd. And Aaron Smith up into second spot here. Let's see how much he pressures Brian McCann, who has led this race all the way so far. Start zone, green flag, and we're away again. And it just seems that Brian McCann, his reaction times are fantastic. And he's been able to keep that lead nicely. And there's the flip-flop you were talking about, Chris. Troy Radford trying his best to find his way past Aaron Smith, but it looks like he's having some trouble keeping that thing stable. Smith on the outside is not letting it get to him. The caution is out, and it looks like David Trumbley has been spun around.
Yeah, we're getting to that point of cautions breed cautions here at Martinsville. You keep the field bunched up like that, they don't have a chance to escape from each other. You have moments like this where they start to run over each other and create a few more cautions.
Indeed. Well, we'll check out what happened to Trumbley. He was already having a bit of contact with Neil Quick, and just a tag in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and looks like a lot of drivers didn't have time to react to that. God, the number 19 of Bill Walker creating the concertina there by getting into Trumbley on the inside. That is a huge shame for all of those drivers involved. Quite a few of them now with pretty heavy damage, and it seems that Kyle Pendergraft was involved in that one as well. The number 47 of Ray Radford got absolutely sandwiched between Trumbley and Jamie Abril. So that is a pretty big incident, and no surprise to see that the number 96 is in the pit lane getting some damage repair from that one. He was knocked about quite a bit. Either way, looks to me like there's a couple of drivers that have joined Trumbley in the pits. Brandon Mefford's come in for some service. Only 4 laps on that set of tyres, so I don't think he's changed them. Actually, a full set of tyres takes about 15 seconds to change, so potentially he got a fresh set, did Brandon Mefford, but also maybe getting some slight damage as well if he was involved in anything. Remember, Mefford was back in the field, so he might have picked up a couple of dents.
Yeah, I did notice that Brandon Mefford was able to get back onto the lead lap after having to serve that penalty under the during the first stage. So maybe taking advantage of being on the lead lap and getting some quick service done so he can maybe get back out there and try to attack.
Well, speaking of attack, Troy Radford got on the attack on Aaron Smith on that last restart, and fortunate for him that the caution came out when it did, because he's back into second spot. But as we've seen, the issue is if you're on the outside, you're going to have a bit of trouble keeping that driver behind you. We'll see where things go from here. A reminder to everyone that we're coming up very quickly to the second stage caution, which should happen around the lap 112 mark. That's purely by my percentage calculations. Might be thrown a little bit earlier, depending on what the drivers decide or what the admin decides. But we'll see. Lights are off on the pace car, and we're going to get going here, Chris.
Well, we'll see if we flip-flop that second position again.
Yeah, we will. So, number 3 comes around to take the green flag. Wait for it. And once again, it is right at the start of the start zone, and that was a very poor start from Troy Radford. He immediately loses second place to Aaron Smith, and he could lose third place as well, as Kevin McCann is now up the inside of him. Can the number 33 make this work? It's covered off by the 94 though, and the chrome horn is out. A little bit of a bump there from Kevin McCann on Troy Radford. And here we go. Oh God, the defensive lines there from Radford, amazing, as it's back in the field here. Brandon Leclerc and Tim Schofield. And oh no, Troy Radford, he's been spun around. And that looks like the chrome horn. We saw him trying to block the advances of Kevin McCann, and it has not worked out for him.
Yeah, it looks like that poor restart has snowball affected the 94 here.
Oh, you know what? It actually wasn't Kevin McCann's fault. It looks to me like Troy Radford lost it here all by himself. There was no contact.
Yeah, you're right. Looks like he might have just overcooked it into the corner.
Yeah. Well, we did see him, you know, jerking a little bit towards the inside. That might have unsettled the rear and sent him around. That is massive for the number 94, who was running in the top 3 pretty much the whole race so far. Then Troy's now all the way back in 21st spot, not even showing up on the timing tower on the left side of your screen. So he has got some big work to do, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's not the point in the race where you want to be starting over fresh. And unfortunately, that is going to be the case for the 94.
Well, big dent to the rear. And 68 laps to go here. I have lost count of how many cautions we've had. I believe this is the 4th natural caution of the race. Potentially the 5th, with 1 stage caution as well.
Yeah, I believe this is caution number 5.
Righto. Well, wave around for Ray Radford in the number 47. He will come back around to get back onto the lead lap. Troy Radford into the pits, and looks like he's getting some damage repaired potentially. Definitely going to be getting a fresh set of rubber on so that he can try and make his way through the field. And it looks like that service was completed pretty quickly for him. Only 5.6 seconds, maybe putting a little bit of extra fuel in that machine as well.
Well, it may not be a bad idea. He may be having to think out some strategy here to be a little bit outside the box to make up some positions. So could be a smart move by the 94.
All right then. Our 2 who started back in the field with the mandatory end of line, Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann, now run 2nd and 3rd, and Troy Radford is no longer a thorn in their side. Chris Mefford, meanwhile, still remaining in 4th spot. Brandon Mefford, unfortunately, has not made much progress since his black flag. Still down in 20th place, and with how chaotic the racing is being back in the field, it's obviously very difficult for a driver to find their way through. But everyone's forming up now, and we'll get back to racing action very shortly to start the 87th lap of this race. See those green lights? That means we are going green. And the number 3 has been supreme on these restarts. Let's see when Barney decides to throw the green flag this time. He's been doing it pretty early the last couple of times. He holds off a little bit this time though. And Brian McCann gets another brilliant start. This time Aaron Smith is on the outside and could get past here by Kevin McCann. The caution is immediately back out, and oh dear, that is a spinner down in turns 1 and 2. It's the number 14 of Kyle Pendergraft who has come unstuck. Looks like there was a big checkup back in the field. Big checkup into turn 1 as well. Pendergraft got hard on the brakes and locked the rears. Very quickly sent him around, Chris.
Yeah, just the 14 locked it up a little bit too hard there, spun around backwards, and yeah, Chris Wally just nowhere to go.
Yeah. Well, not much damage to Wally, but Pendergraft's pride will certainly be injured there. I've noticed that Pendergraft has been having trouble with keeping the rear end in check pretty much the whole race so far, so I think that's the natural conclusion of that. He's going to have to start driving a little more carefully into the corners, I think, if he wants to salvage something from this race.
Yeah, he has had definitely a rough day today.
Well then. Looks like these two will be getting a wave around potentially behind the pace car, Wally and Pendergraft, but there definitely is a lucky dog for Brian Reek. Round he goes, and I think now that Reek has been released, we should see Wally and Pendergraft be allowed to pass the pace car as well. Reek has been carrying that incredibly heavy damage since his earlier incident, the front bumper missing from the number 11. Back into 21st spot and back onto the lead lap, so there should be something to salvage here for Brian.
Well, at the very least, it's a pretty nice comeback story.
Certainly is. And he's still able to keep up pace despite missing that front bumper. The only car not on the lead lap and still running is Dakota Clark now, who's 10 laps down in position number 24. With now the lights still on the pace car. I think we're still waiting for Wally and Pendergraft to be released here. They're still up behind, and see what happens when they cross the start-finish line. Lights are off on the pace car, and on goes the power for the number 51, and they will be released here. So, field forms back up. Double file restart here at Martinsville, and pretty crucial there for Kevin McCann. He is now second running alongside his brother Brian. And the McCanns, of course, I keep going back to that incident late in the race at Fontana when they came together, but I'm sure that they'll avoid that this time. Let's see how coordinated the restart is between Brian and Kevin here. The green flag is out, and, well, no surprise to see that Brian McCann gets a brilliant jump again. And a little bit wide there is Kevin, trying his best to keep Aaron Smith behind him, but it's not going to work. Smith is ahead on the way into turn 3, and looks like that's going to be P2 for the number 70.
It's maybe the furthest we've gotten on a restart in I don't know how many restarts.
Yeah, of course. Well, 57 laps to go, and this should be an interesting race here for the top positions. Brian McCann has been pretty much untouchable here at Martinsville. It's been a race for second on back, as we've seen, and looks to me like Chris Mefford is still there with them, and he'll try his best to hold on to these podium positions and potentially snatch a place away if there's an incident or another caution comes out. We've also got to think very shortly about the next stage caution, but the natural caution has come back out. And looks like a couple of cars have come together in turns 3 and 4. Kyle Pendergraft once again going for a big spin. I'm wondering if he got some help this time. It looks like Pendergraft was going slow letting everyone go here. And then, oh man, coming into turn 3, he just braked too late again and ended up causing a bit of drama further up ahead too. Goodness. Well, Troy Radford was lucky to get away, but there was some contact there for the 83 of Brandon Method.
I was going to say, it looked like Troy Radford may have gotten a very small piece of it, but nothing too significant there.
Well, it's another reset for these drivers up at the front, and we're only, well, actually, we are about 15 laps or so away from the second stage caution. So we see Brandon Method coming into the pits there. No, wait, that's Chris. That's Chris Method in the number 46, who's gone for a pit stop under this caution. Now, we saw this last round at Lucas Oil Raceway. There were some drivers who were taking a set of tyres just before the stage caution was due to come out, and this could work out very well for Chris in terms of track position.
Yeah, with the stage just a couple laps away from being closed, or from coming to a conclusion, this could this could be a bit of a game changer strategy-wise.
Doesn't look like many others, if anyone, has come down under this caution. Actually, it looks like Troy Radford, Brandon Method, Chris Wally in the pits as well. So drivers that pitted there: Chris Method, Cook Quick, Jamie Abril, Troy Radford, Chris Wally, and Brandon Method. So the Methods have done a little bit of a big brain move here, I think. They've gotten their fresh set of rubber on as they come around to start the 99th lap of this race, or the 100th lap, I should say. And with only 12 laps or so to go until the stage caution comes out, when everyone else pits for fresh tyres at the end of that second stage, the Methods will elevate themselves up through the field. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting here as the lights are out on the pace car. We'll see if that works out for the Methods. For now, the McCanns and Aaron Smith up at the front of the field, with Neil Quick and James Kaufman up with them too. Kaufman has had a really good race. He is up into 5th spot now after starting outside the top 10. Pace car is in. Also got to give a shout out to David Brown, who started 10th and is now into 6th. But Joshua Funkhauser has made up bulk positions, as has Curtis Rogers. Also in the top 10 as the green flag flies and we are away. That is another excellent start from Brian McCann. This time Kevin McCann up the inside of Aaron Smith. Smith was able to make it work around the outside early on, but not so now, as oh goodness, James Kaufman losing a few spots there on the restart. Didn't work out too well for him, and Aaron Smith now having to yield on the way into turns 1 and 2. The caution is out, and it looks like Chris Wally has thrown it, and there was a bit of a crash there, but I'm not sure if they've decided that this is the second stage caution just yet, because that was an admin thrown caution. No, it wasn't. I'm looking at the wrong spot. Okay, so this is a naturally occurring caution, and that was Cook Quick there getting into the back of number 11 of Brian Reek, and then that just created a huge checkup for the likes of David Trumbley and company. Yep, slow down, try to get it recovered, and then oh my god, up into David Trumbley. Tell you what, that was another lucky escape for Troy Radford, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, Troy's been very, very close to, well, a whole bunch of cautions since he made his spin a few cautions ago. And yeah, very lucky break for Radford there.
Well, evidently, Troy Radford has suffered his requisite amount of bad luck for this race, and Lady Luck is now smiling upon him and giving him all these lucky escapes. But Cook Quick, no surprise to see that he is coming into the pits after that one, getting collected by David Trumbly, who is in the pits himself. Lap 106 of 150. We have 45 to go. It will be 44 at the line. And that is a wave around for the number 17 of Dakota Clark. And God knows Clark needs as many wave arounds as he can get. Now he's 9 laps down on everyone else. 8 laps, my apologies. Just got that extra lap back. Well, if there's 9 more cautions in 44 laps, there could be a chance there for Dakota Clark to get back onto the lead lap by the time we inevitably get a green-white checkered. I'm expecting that that's going to be the case at this point, Chris.
Yeah, these cautions have been a bit painful so far in this second stage. So hopefully things clear up a little bit.
Well, double file forming up, and it's only going to be a very short green flag run here before the second stage ends. It's all going to be up to Aaron Smith here to try and get back into second place with the McCanns locking out the front row on this restart. But then there's also the consideration of how long a pit stop is going to take. And they'll be keeping their eyes on the timer. They'll be making sure to be well prepared for when they have to enter their pit boxes. Brian McCann has been untouchable on the restarts here. We'll see if it's the case this time once again. And it is. As the green flag flies, and Aaron Smith trying up the inside of Kevin McCann, but Kevin vaulting it into the corners, keeping up that mid-corner speed, getting the power down. He is going to protect second place this time. That's just about the first time I've seen someone do that at the front.
Well, he's had a lot of practice.
That he has. Definitely a lot of opportunities to learn exactly what to do. So it's McCann, Smith, your top 3 right now. And lovely straight exits from Brian. He is keeping that car nice and stable. Of course, car's evidently very pointy here tonight on the fixed setup, as we've seen. But Kevin is pressuring Brian as there is the caution flag. That is the admin throwing one. That is the end of stage 2. And looks like McCann has been incredibly dominant here tonight. We'll see if that continues after the second stage ends and the third stage begins. We're going to throw to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel, as drivers will inevitably make their way into the pits soon. We'll see what the running order is like once they emerge.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
And we return to racing here at Martinsville. Lights on the pace car. The second stage caution is out, and looks to me like Chris Mefford has made his way back up into 4th, with the majority of drivers in the field coming in for a fresh set of tyres after that. Drivers that have taken a pit stop include Tim Schofield, David Brown, Josh Funkhauser, James Kaufman, Brandon Leclerc, Curtis Rogers, Mike Koch, Mike Koch, sorry. And then we've got Bill Walker, Aaron Smith, and Kevin McCann, who have also come into the pits this time. But Brian McCann has remained out, Neil Quick as well. And look at Jarrett Widener. He has managed to find his way up into 3rd place by staying out on track under this second stage caution.
Yeah, it's actually weird to see some different names up at the front of this one. The way that this last stage went.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye out for Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann here. By series rules, the championship leader, I believe, starts end of line at the start of the final stage. So we should see Aaron Smith get an end of line penalty shortly. And of course, Aaron, no surprise with knowing that that is the case. He's taken that fresh set of tyres right now so that he can fight his way back up through the field and maybe get back into the podium positions by the time this race ends. He's not going to have much time to do it, though. Currently 35 laps to go. There will be, I'd say, around 32 to go. No, 34 to go, sorry, when we take our restart. Pace car in, and it's a decidedly different looking top 5 here. Troy Radford's made his way back up into the top 5 by staying out under the second stage caution. Brian McCann on 53-lap-old tyres as we take the green flag. It is another great start from the number 3, and it's on for second. Neil Quick, almost making contact there with the number 88 of Jarrett Widener, who's trying his best to get into second on track. They got Radford up behind him. They've got Chris Mefford as well. And that's a big check up in the middle of the turn from Neil Quick, and gets rear-ended by Chris Mefford. Now the Meffords are alongside each other, making their way into the top 5.
Both these drivers have had pretty exciting days so far, so we'll see what they do side by side here towards the front of the field.
Look at how cramped it is coming through turns 3 and 4. That's a great exit there from Chris Mefford as he draws up alongside Brandon and almost gets into the rear of Neil Quick again. This is just allowing Brian McCann to streak away. 2 drivers, Widener and Quick, a bit out of position here and making life difficult. Widener going wide out of turn 4. Some 3 wide contact there, and Neil Quick gets into the back of Brandon Mefford, who spins around, and the caution is out. Widener being collected.
Well, a great shot of the action we got watching it live there, but tough break for the 83. He had obviously been running pretty well up where he was at, but unfortunately a little slip there, and he's going to have to take a trip to the back.
Yeah, back to 16th spot. This is a view from the outside. Yeah, a little bit of rear end contact there from the number 2. Just got the 83 unsettled, and there was nowhere for Widener to go. He was already on the outside going into that and stuck on the outside. Here's the view from on board with Jarrett Widener. And there's the spin. He gets on the brakes, but contact was pretty much unavoidable at that point.
Yeah, the 88 really had nowhere to go by that point.
Well then, back under caution once again. That is, I've lost count of the cautions again. Is that our 7th or 8th?
I'm going to be honest, I have definitely lost count.
Yeah, well, we ain't counting no more. It's just caution upon caution upon caution here at Martinsville Speedway, as there's a wave around for the number 14 of Kyle Pendergraft, who's had a very difficult race so far. Plenty of rear end stability troubles there for Kyle, but he will make his way round to the back of the train again and get back onto the lead lap. And he'll be hoping that he stays there. God, there's so many tyre marks through these corners now with the amount of spins and rear end contact that we've seen.
Well, I gotta say, I think it's gonna be a toss-up between the pace car and Brian McCann for who gets most laps led today.
Yeah, I agree. Goodness me. There's been so many laps completed by the pace car. I'm sure that AI driver should get some championship points out of this one. Brian McCann has been able to face off every challenge offered to him so far. But Troy Radford, crucially, with some great incident avoidance, some good luck along the way, and staying out under the second stage caution, is now back up into second spot. And he's back where he would say he belongs. We'll see what he can do coming off of this caution with only 26 laps to go here at Martinsville.
All right, we got the field foreman back up. Hopefully we can get these last 25 laps in.
Hopefully. McCann, Radford, Mefford, Quick and Wally, your top five. Chris Wally has been able to make up quite a bit of track position here under these last couple of cautions. We'll see what our series admin can do to hold on to that as we just about enter the start zone. The green flag is flown instantly, and McCann is right on it once more. So is Chris Mefford, who gets up the inside of Troy Radford into turn one. And it looks like Chris Wally not having a great exit there. He is, he's going into the pits. That's unfortunate there for Chris. Probably wants to get some fresh tyres, bit of extra fuel as well to get him to the end. He's going to lose out on all those positions, but looking further back, this is a pretty big gaggle of cars as, oh no, Joshua Funkhauser gets into the rear of James Kaufman, and that turns around Curtis Rogers. That is a big shame there. Our caution flag is back out. Another difficult incident in the midfield.
Shoot, the caution's out. It looks like they're still trying to wreck.
Goodness me. Well, Curtis Rogers, I think, was an innocent victim in all of that. He was on the outside going into turns 3 and 4. Funkhauser getting into the back of Kaufman, and then wham, up into the wall goes the number 48. And some good incident avoidance from everyone else, but I think that Curtis Rogers is going to be steaming from the ears at that.
Yeah, just a frustrating situation for him all around.
Looks to me like Kaufman was actually hit twice there, and that second hit was what brought him up into Rogers. If there was just a little bit more of a checkup from Funkhauser, we might have seen a very different conclusion to that incident. Well then, we're approaching the 20 laps to go mark momentarily, and I'm starting to think that a couple of green-white checkered attempts will be in order with the amount of cautions that have come out.
Yeah, I'd say that seems pretty likely.
It just seems that as the race has gone on, I mean, obviously, there is that old standard of cautions breed cautions, but we've also got to consider there's fatigue in order for a lot of the drivers around here. A lot of them will also be nursing some minor damage to their cars. Some of them, some of them major damage as well. It's going to be difficult for a lot of our competitors out there.
Yeah, we'll have just under 20 to go. Still a couple chances at a green-white checker, and I know it's closing in on 11 o'clock our time, and it is a Thursday here, so some of these drivers may be rocking a pretty long day at this point.
Yeah, they'd have to be. It's a Friday morning for me here in Western Australia. I've still got to go to work this afternoon, so this is going to be the start of a long day for me. But it's going to be the start of our next green flag run coming up very shortly here with the lights off on the pace car. And Brian McCann, where he has been the whole race, still in the lead here. As far as I'm aware, he has led every single lap so far, but Chris Mefford will try and make that difficult for him. Gonna have to drop behind Chris when you get to the restart zone if you don't want to get a penalty. And the number 3 goes. As now looks like Aaron Smith is moving to the inside, further down in the field, trying to desperately make up places. But Brian McCann is streaking away already at the front of the field. Mefford, though, keeping him very honest. But it looks like Mefford, Curtis Rogers, and Jarrett Widener have all gotten black flags from that restart as the number 7 goes up high. Take it easy there, David Brown. Oh, bit of contact, and there's a spin. The yellow flag is out. It wasn't brought out by Mike Koch. It was brought out by Brandon Leclerc, who has gone for yet another spin here. And it looks like that was rear-end contact from Bill Walker on the exit of turn 4. Seems that Leclerc was trying to stay low to avoid Joshua Funkhauser, who had run very wide in turns 3 and 4. And unfortunate to see that in trying to avoid an incident, the number 21 becomes part of one. There we go.
Yeah, just trying to stay away and managed to find the incident anyway.
Yeah, that's a real shame. He'll be feeling a bit hard done by that one. Fortunately, it seems not many other cars involved in that one. So our running order as things stand, McCann, Mefford, Radford, Quick and Schofield are your top 5, but I still see black flags on the results tab for Brandon Leclerc, Chris Mefford, Curtis Rogers, and Joshua Funkhauser as well. Seems that Funkhauser has gotten a black flag in the midst of all of that as well. Re-emerges back onto the racetrack, but won't be able to serve your black flag under caution, I don't believe. "14 laps to go. It looks like Donnie Lyons and Bill Walker have disconnected from the sessions, so unfortunately their race is over. Well, rapidly approaching the checkered flag, or, as is looking ever more likely, first of our green-white checkers. Doesn't seem to be anything anyone can do to stop Brian McCann at this point.
Yeah, even without the cautions, Brian McCann has just been in a league of his own today.
Yeah, and he's looking as calm and focused as ever, isn't he? He hasn't had to deal with anyone pressuring him. He's just been smashing that throttle on the restarts, going up through the gears perfectly, and under no pressure from anyone behind, who are just squabbling amongst themselves for second on back. Well, the field forms up. Once again, the pace car concludes its run out at the front of the field. And I would hazard a guess that Brian McCann is going to get yet another excellent restart as they enter the start zone, and they are away. Neil Quick in number 2, having to face off against McCann, Schofield and Aaron Smith, who's made his way back up into second, and diving up the inside is Kevin McCann in the 33, just emerging there on the left side of screen on that shot. Oh, there's a bit of a check-up though. McCann having a bit of a slide. They avoid wrecking though, Schofield and Quick with good avoidance there, but a spin for the number 41 of James Kaufman. And at 10 laps to go, the caution is out again.
All right, got the replay here.
Oh, it's contact from the 83.
Yeah, just looked like some side-to-side contact, and unfortunately the 41 goes around.
And Brandon Mefford might be feeling a little sheepish there, but I think he saw the door open on the inside there with some instability for James Kaufman, and I understand why he went for it. Regardless, I think Kaufman won't be feeling too happy about that. He was having a good race in the mid-stage, wasn't he? And it's all gone wrong for him here, back into 15th.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that's happened to in this race either.
Yeah, certainly not. We only have 16 cars of our 26 starters still on the lead lap. We have Dakota Clark 8 laps down and David Trumbley 18 laps down, still running. Brian Reek and Cook Quick 2 and 3 laps down respectively, and Joshua Funkhauser I saw classified a lap down earlier, but I think he's just gotten the lucky dog and he's gone back onto the lead lap. So now there are 18 cars on the lead lap here. Well, we should get our restart with, I'd say, 5 laps to go. And if there's another caution from that point, then we will get a green-white checkered finish.
Yeah, it is winding down to that point very quickly.
Forming up once again. Just about, anyway. It's really just been a case of survival. It's always a case of survival at a short track like Martinsville. You just gotta keep yourself out of trouble, keep your car clean, and keep your focus through the endless cautions that happen at tracks like this. Through it all, Brian McCann has continued to be head and shoulders above the rest of them today. And this is going to be good for Brian. Was 4th in the championship coming into this round, and it looks like he and Kevin will maintain those spots at the very least, with Radford still up there as well. Green flag flies, and we're away once more. Wasn't as good of a restart for Brian McCann that time. He's still not too far ahead of Radford and Mefford, and there's a trade of spots there. And oh, hello. Number 33 into the lane. That's Kevin McCann. He's gotten a black flag from that restart. And that is the number 33 now out of the fight for the top 5. It looks like Neil Quick and James Kaufman have also picked up black flags from that as well. And it looks like Chris Mefford has been disqualified from the race session because he didn't serve his black flag in time. So an absolutely disastrous race there. And up into the wall is
Tim Schofield.
Yeah, number 12. And there we go. That came out with 3 laps to go. Race is going to be extended for a green, white, checkered. And we'll have a maximum of 3 attempts at a green, white, checkered before the race is simply called. We'll see what happened to Schofield here. He was alongside Aaron Smith on the exit here. Now, was there contact? No, there wasn't.
Nope, he looks like the tail end just went around. Not even a full spin, really. He was able to keep it going, but by that point, the caution had already been called.
It's a common problem here at Martinsville. I mean, you know, you need a car that is pointy, a car that has a lot of oversteer engineered into it to make a car last on a long stint around here. And also make sure that you get the best entry possible to set up your exit. But it seems that a lot of drivers today have been having trouble with that as the stint's gone on.
Yeah, and this is a track that doesn't have much room for avoidance. Like, you know, some of the bigger tracks, you'll see people spin down onto the apron of the track, and they're so far out of the way that the virtual race director will let that go. But when you spin here, I mean, this place is so tight, you really have nowhere to go. So, can't help but throw the caution just because there's really no room to take avoiding action.
We saw Joshua Funkhauser getting the wave around there, and Funkhauser doesn't have a black flag to his name. Chris Mefford, after being disqualified for not serving his black flag in time, has retired from the race. And it looks like he might lose out on a couple of points as a result of that. He already didn't have an excellent job at the previous race at Lucas Oil Raceway. So this mid to late season is definitely not going his way. So lights should be turning off on the pace car pretty soon. It looks like we're going to have an extra lap here under full caution conditions, and then hopefully when they cross the start-finish line next, the lights will be out and we can get ourselves some racing, hopefully clean, towards a checkered flag. Well, there we are then. We are about to get things going here through turns 1 and 2. And the pace car will peel off. And Brian McCann will do what he does best here at Martinsville, which is hold the lead. Troy Radford is going to have to be careful, though, because he's got Aaron Smith right up alongside him. Championship leader in the number 70. This is going to be a fun one. Green flag flies. And the first of our green-white checkered attempts is here. There's a really good restart there from McCann. And up into second goes Aaron Smith. Will he be able to fight his way through on the final lap here? Hopefully we stay green. And the white flag will fly for the number 3 of Brian McCann. It has been an absolutely magnificent race from Brian. an awesome race from Smith as well. There's one final attempt there from Radford. Oh, Radford spins out a third. He lost the rear end. He could have had a top three, but it's gone wrong for him. The number 3 takes the checkered flag. Aaron Smith finishes second, and Mike Koch gets into third place in the double O. Oh, poor Troy Radford. These last 2 short track races have gone wrong for him at the final possible moment, and he will come home in 16th, I believe. Goodness.
That's 2 tough breaks in a row for Radford.
Yep, 2 in a row indeed, but regardless, it's going to be celebration time, and I think a lot of relief here for Brian McCann, who led from start to finish. Just a supreme race there from Brian, and he should definitely be proud of what he's done here at Martinsville today as he begins his victory celebrations. Slowing right down, and the donuts begin. Well, as McCann tries his best to light those tyres up and go for a big old burnout, we're going to go on a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. When we come back, we'll bring you the results from this race and interviews with our top 3.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Well, a caution-filled race at Martinsville for round 9 at the IROC Challenge Series saw Brian McCann come home with a lights-to-flag victory. Aaron Smith coming home in second spot and showing some excellent pace along the way. Mike Koch benefiting from the last couple of cautions, the green-white checkered and spin for Troy Radford to take third. He'll be proud of that one. David Brown comes home in fourth, and Brandon Mefford will round out the top 5. Tim Schofield comes home in sixth, just ahead of Jamie Abril and Kyle Pendergraft. Chris Wally finishes ninth, and Brandon Leclerc will round out the top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 is Jarrett Widener with a quiet 11th place after some adventures through the middle portion of the race. Kevin McCann bounces back from his penalty to finish 12th. Joshua Funkhauser will come home 13th over Hunter Clark. And then our final lead lap finisher, Troy Radford, spinning on the final lap. James Kaufman, Brian Reek, Neil Quick, Cook Quick, and Dakota Clark all laps down the back half of the top 20.
Indeed. Chris Mefford, unfortunately, disqualified from the session after getting a black flag for a start zone infringement and not serving it in time. David Trumbley also retiring, a big shame for the 96, who was in contention for the win last round at Lucas Oil. Bill Walker, another retirement, with Curtis Rogers 30 laps down. Ray Radford and Donnie Lyons will round out your field. Lyons going out 94 laps from the end. Huge shame there for a lot of drivers today, but of course we will have the drivers who are celebrating a great result today, starting of course with the number 3, Brian McCann. Welcome, Brian, and congratulations on your victory. It seemed that you were almost untouchable out there today, so you must be proud of your performance.
Yeah, it's probably one of my best races for this season. Qualified first and then ran first, I believe, the whole full race. Yeah, that was a tough track. I during the green flag runs at the end there, I started having to mute my chat, and I couldn't hear anybody. I had to concentrate so much to be able to do what I did. And being on old tires, that just made it more difficult. They were a little bit faster behind me, but during all those cautions, and that was what I was banking on, the tires would cool off a little bit, and I was able to maintain speed.
Yeah, indeed. The caution is really working in your favour there, as was starting first on those restarts. It seemed that putting the power down was your big strength here today, and that obviously helped you stay ahead too.
Yeah, it was a lot about how you drove the corner. You had to have the brake bias dialed in, changed it a few times during the race to fine-tune it, and just making sure you got off that corner without slipping the right rear, because it was really saving the right rear all night that helped out a whole bunch in the end.
Yeah, definitely, especially on entry. We saw so many drivers going for spins into the corners. Well, next race on the 13th of October, we go to Daytona. It looks like the brief short track phase of the season is over for now. What are your thoughts going into our next super speedway?
I get to start in the back, so I'll get to do the backpack strategy. Well, I've done it before, and I'll see if I can do it again. But yeah, Daytona is going to be tough. Looking forward to it.
As are we, Brian. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank for your lights to flag victory today?
My wife, my family, everybody watching tonight. You guys for doing the broadcast, the league, all of our sponsors, the admins that run everything. You know, they put in a lot of work. Thank you.
And thank you, Brian McCann, for joining us. Another brilliant victory there for the number 3. Next up, of course, we have our championship leader, Aaron Smith, who is going to be joining us in the box with Chris standing by.
Well, Aaron, you got to be just about exhausted after that one. Came from the back twice to finish second, and definitely a strong finish when it comes to solidifying that championship standing.
Yeah, fortunately the winner's penalty didn't hurt me nearly as much these past few weeks. Just had a lot of wrecks to avoid, and fortunately we avoided all but one of them. Only got 4 wrecks despite all the cars I had to pass. But yeah, had a pretty solid run, and even if I didn't have the winner's penalty, probably would have finished second anyway, because Brian was on a whole other level all night. So I'll certainly take it and move on to next week.
Now, a race like that with so many cautions from the middle on, how does that affect you as a driver as far as maintaining your flow, especially when you're having to pass as many cars as you did?
I mean, if anything, all those cautions gives you time to plan just for everything that could possibly happen on those restarts. Unfortunately, I got caught up in the outside behind a couple of slow cars. I don't know if they had damage or what, but I had to try to plan my way around them with the cautions I had. But fortunately, it worked out in my favor over the course of the race, and we brought home a relatively clean car.
Now we go from one extreme to the other next week as we head to Daytona. What are your thoughts as we head to the Super Speedway?
Should have a pretty good shot there as well. I don't know how the field's going to work there. We haven't had a good couple weeks here, but hopefully we'll be able to turn it around next time.
All right, Aaron. Anybody you'd like to thank to help make this run possible for you?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone at the IROC Challenge for putting the show on, y'all broadcasting, sticking with us tonight. It was a pretty rough race, but yeah, it's always fun talking with y'all at the end of these things. And I'd like to thank all the folks for watching. Looking forward to getting back at it at Daytona.
All right, Aaron. Congratulations on another good run, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you.
Back to you, Reese.
Indeed. Well, that's going to end our coverage tonight here of the IROC Challenge Series. It would be nice if we got a chance to speak to Mike Koch, but unfortunately we haven't been able to find him. So we send our congratulations to Mike for grabbing a podium there in the 00. Before we go, we would like to give our thanks and shout-outs to the sponsors of the series and the charities the series support. Of course, Zoe's Place. Can't forget them. Child Advocacy Centre. Make sure to lend your support. We'd also like to thank R&R Racewear. Go to r-rracewear.com. Also, Evidence-Based Mummy. Make sure to check them out, as well as the Lucky Finn Project. with Loud Pedal TV and 5-star graphics also lending their support to this series. I want to give a big shout out to Chris Wally and all of the crew at the IROC series for putting this series on. Certainly turns it up every single time we cover them here on GSRC. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store listed on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Of course, we are racing at Daytona next week. Make sure to tune in for that, and be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. Up next, we've got the Grand Prix Legends series. That's going to be happening at 9:30 Eastern on Saturday. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.